And to have the conversation on Nigeria and creation of new states, our guest in the studio, Barrister Vincent Egechupu Obeta, who is a legal practitioner on human rights crusader and university don. Good evening, Barrister.
Good evening, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we've had a whole lot. We just read an entire thing on this creation of 30, having about 60 something states, 67 states in Nigeria. Just before we go into the details of this particular conversation, how do you feel about this development? I mean, it's not yet done, but it's in the pipeline.
Thank you so much. When you were reading out the states, what eventually came up on my mind was that Nigeria is a joke. It's a charade. We've not been able to put together the 36 states we have. And then we're bringing more states. It will become so unwieldy. Something that you and I know are not realistic. So for me, I don't know. It's a mixed feeling. In the sense that there are states that require or needed to be created out of the existing states. But let me tell you what I understand in all this. In trying to ensure justice, most of the lawmakers are now doing, what they are doing is to say, if you must give this man who deserves state as a matter of justice, fair play, you have to give us this. So what does that mean? What it actually means is that it's like the proverbial woman who slept on top of his child, and that child died. She buried the child, came back to the king to say, oh, my child, my child. And in order to make the other woman lose the child, he said, okay, cut it into two. You know, what it means is that when you cut that child into two, she that had lost her child will go empty-handed. And the other woman who owns the living child will also go empty-handed. So the entire thing is a charade to me. And I feel very sad that every now and then we embark on a project in Nigeria, it is not with national interests. It is actually laced with parochial ethnic interests. We are trying to reduce the entire Nigeria into what we call in Igbo land, what we call the family system. So as long as this person is your own person, let us go and have a state. And that is not the idea of a state. Now, if you're pursuing a lofty idea of trying to overtake the United States of America in the number of states that she has, you need to put things in place.
Just as the United States of America
Yes,
has.
you need to put things in place. Things are supposed to be in place. But this time around, with all due respect to the members of National Assembly, I feel disgusted.
But then again, there are some field of thoughts thinking that the creation of more states will manage the problem of marginalization and underdevelopment. Don't you think, if you look at it from that angle, the creation of more states can manage that situation?
Now, if you're talking about marginalization and you're talking about equity and fair play,
Yeah.
it's already enshrined in the Constitution. And that is the provision where we talk about federal character. So if the government want to actually get everybody inclusive and committed, it's already in the Constitution that if you are appointing somebody, it must be from this and this and this. But you discover that in the previous administration, all we had was the president appointing his people all through. In fact, in the immediate past administration, I can't remember one single Igbo man that was in that government, something that is tangible. It was all through from one side. And then we came back to this government again. It's the same thing. We have a situation whereby it was the current guys that are holding sway currently are those we call Tinubu boys in Lagos. But there is a constitutional provision. We had envisaged that our pride is in our diversity. We know it, even in America. All we needed to do to put those things together was to enshrine into our constitution, which actually is the ground norm. When we talk about the ground norm, We're talking about the law which forms the bedrock of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And we find a situation whereby many people don't know what the provision, I think it's section 10, what it means. So what we do in Nigeria is in carrying out our activities in breach of the Constitution that we swore that we uphold. So the creation of states, bringing the idea of solving the problem of ethnicism, diversity. No, we are stronger in diversity. You understand? So for you to begin to cleavage, you begin to break. And your man state, it will be somebody from the same family, and then who married in the other family, they come together to call themselves a Newman states. And when will it stop? It will not stop. Or except there is an amendment that, let me say, a concurrent amendment that will follow this. By the time we have 67, then in that constitution you say that we will no longer
create more states.
We will say that we will no longer. Otherwise, it will continue, because the truth of the matter is that for the majority, you remember the rider. I had the rider say that there are some people who deserve extra states. There are those who do not. Like
from the southeast, where we have just 5 states.
Yes, the southeast is very clear that we needed at least buckle up with our peers, minimum of 2 states, because there are states that you could find what's it called? There are some zones that has about 7 states.
Yeah.
Some are having 6. Now in the southeast, we should be able to be given 2 more states, so that we can balance and have a sense of belonging as to what you tell me, say Nigeria is one. And it is not. However, for people to begin to sit down, paid for legislative job, to sit down and begin to think in their head that we'll have 67 states in Nigeria, it is disgusting, honestly speaking.
So a lawmaker had mentioned that if we can spend about 17 trillion naira on the construction of roads, then we can afford to create more states. Do you agree with that statement?
No, it doesn't follow. Can he also give you the figures of the amount of money they are spending as the Senate House Committee on State Creation, moving from one state to the other? Can he tell you? So unworthy, and people are being old. It doesn't follow. The truth of the matter is that what we should concentrate right now in is to bring back the spirit of nationalism in us. If we are talking about amending the Constitution to make every Nigerian inclusive, bring all of us together and give us a sense of belonging. If our amendment is talking about removing that policy or section of the law that says for you to fill a form to apply for a job in NNPC, they will tell you which state are you from. You fill. They will refer you to your local government chairman to get a letter identifying you. These are the things we need to remove. Because it doesn't matter. You are in Nigeria. You are not an Enugu woman in this real sense of nationalism. These are the tiny things you need to do, because once you put up an application and then you say this one is from Enugu State, it wears the South, as they are looking at those documents, it is actually the vestiges of high-level ethnicism that is in that document. It is not a phrase that is supposed to come into the Constitution. Neither is it allowed in the government policy that anybody who is looking for a job in a country we say is our own, you'll have to identify where you come from. And it has gotten into our side to the extent that even when you speak with people, if they can, like in my own case, you can't identify me by my color.
Because you look Yoruba,
yes.
If I must say.
Then once they see fair or brownish people, they know it's Igbo.
Yeah.
A typical
I get that a lot.
Igbo woman.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether you speak Igbo. The Akwa Ibomites are Igbos. All of them within the whole southern region are Igbos, except for some of us who has killed that place. I've gone to a place where they host me as a Yoruba guy, and they give me all the treats, only to discover I'm Igbo. And I never came back there. When you call, they will not take calls. So what we should be talking about is how do we imbibe the spirit of nationalism in our children? Why would a lawmaker find the creation of 67 state, additional 30 something state as one of the major challenges that we have. When we know that we have money, if you go under chapter 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended in 2003, if you look at chapter 2, it talks about the objective policies of government. And then they took education away from the justiciable angle and brought it into a place where they said, the Constitution said, no, you cannot hold your state or you cannot hold the government responsible in anything that matters on education, because it is not justiciable by virtue of section 660. Those are the things, the kind of money that our leaders, why they did that in that constitution as at that time was that the argument was that our resources cannot give us free education. But have you now seen that the former central bank governor, the money he took alone can give you scholarship to study up to UK in masters? Not only you, and that's a whole lot of population. Nigeria can afford free education. So we should be debating on how to pull out education as one of the directive principles of government and bring it into a section where it will be justifiable, it will be justiciable. You can go to court to say that I have not received education and I am qualified to receive education.
So, Barrister Vincent, will you say, does the continuous agitation for the creation of new states a reflection of failure of federal structure?
First of all, I want to take away that word agitation. There's no agitation in the sense of the fact that people are agitating, except for the ones that I could accept as agitation are those who have actually been criminally marginalized.
But there was a protest storm in Medjugorje.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's a counterbalance. I've had discussions with some of my northern guys. They said, okay, if Southeast will get another 2 states, that the entire Niger state is bigger than Southeast. And because of that, that Niger state is bigger than Southeast, a whole, 3 by 3. That if that is the case, that they should also create more states for Niger state and Borno and all that. Is that the issue? And they begin to talk about natural resources, that they have natural resources, giving me criteria for the creation of states. But let me also tell you, I don't have the data, but I believe that even in the Southeast, if you don't have natural resources, as it were, typical indigenes of Southeast, they are human resources filled to the brim. Every typical Southeasterner is not talking about how to go and depend on anybody. You wake up, you think about how you move on, how you stand financially independent. And then when you look at the diasporans from the Southeast, this is natural resources beyond what you think. So we don't need to rely on having a gold, only gold, petrol, because all this, will even come to pass. The Asian tigers, what they sell is human resources. Human resources. So we shouldn't be saying, oh, the Southeast is landlocked. The Southeast does not have. However, let me also tell you what you've not known. In the course of my practice as a lawyer, I did a very controversial case that opened my eyes to the fact that there is petrol in all the grounds in the Southeast. Maybe except Ebonyi. But what Ebonyi has on the ground is even far much more valuable than the petrol we're talking about. So the problem we're talking about is creation of additional states or more states is as a result of leadership failure. It will, and then the agitation you're talking about is agitation of the elites. Your mother, who may be in the market, is talking about how these foodstuff prices
Calm down.
How do we carry out to pay school fees? How do we reduce taxes? And when you create more states, the current states we have is not viable. It is only about 6 or 7 states that can stand on its own. Assuming the oil stops flowing, it is only about 6 or 7 states. And then you go and create more states, waiting for the handout from the national body. It doesn't make any sense.
Let's look at the requirements. What are the constitutional requirements for the creation of states? And looking at the number of states that has been outlined, do they meet up with these requirements?
I'm hamstrung. I actually have issues with this discussion of the creation of new states. You know why? By virtue of where I come from, I feel we deserve a state,
Okay.
and that is another state. But on the other hand, I also quarrel with the fact that others are coming. Somebody is being called to take a plate of food, and others who have eaten will just jump into the same plate to say, we are eating, we are eating. See, it is anarchy. So when we talk about creation of states and justification, I think we have just the Southeast. It's truly the Southeast. The reason is that the creation of states started shortly after the Civil War. That was when Gowon, in trying to balkanize the Southeast, it was a policy, deliberate, intentional, to balkanize and reduce the power of the South, of the old Eastern region. Decided to create state. That is where they created River State out. River State and which other state? They just created that 12 states. And the typical Southeasterners were just smarting out of the war. Nobody consulted. They now gave 5 states to the Southeast. Just, and then push all other states and give even a state that it has less population than the Southeast got more. So what we are saying generally is that I find it as a challenge to be talking about the agitation for these 2 states in the Southeast, and at the other breath talk about the fact that there is no need for creation of states. It is actually an ambivalence on my part because of where I come from. And the reason why, when we talk about state like Adada, if you go down memory lane, you will see that they deserve the state. It was in 1973 that the first proposal for the creation of Adada state was submitted. Yes, in 73. Not this new generation, the agitators. That's why I don't call them agitators. Because if you value what you're doing, you see the history of the movement. And from then it commenced. From that point, they pushed it up to 2005 at one national political reform conference. And that was still approved. In 2014, the one that was done under Goodluck, it was finally approved. And what we're waiting for is just to carry out the referendum before all other states start coming in. We started seeing different agitations just to make sure this thing does not go through. So, to the extent of that, I believe that Southeastern states has the right to agitate for the creation of new states, but no other states.
All right. According to reports and statistics here and there, Nigeria happens to be one of the largest economy-based country in Africa, and then the giant of Africa, right? The giant of Africa. Looking at, well, like online here, we're having approximately $440 billion worth. But then again, let's look at it from the angle of financial burden, creating states. Do you think that is really a challenge for Nigeria, the federal government, to allocate funds to these new states and make them stable for the meantime before they grow up and become a stronger state like other states?
Like which state that has grown up like that?
Like every older states.
Well, older states. Maybe the states of like Lagos or Abuja.
36 states plus the FCT.
FCT, yeah.
And out of these 36 plus FCT, is only 7 that have been viable. Is there any growth? There's no growth. Now, let me also let you know this. Nigeria is a sleeping giant. So many other African countries have overtaken us. And it has become, from what I observed, it has become a ritual of the National Assembly to dangle carrots on our faces with creation of states. You remember Ekweremadu also pushed for the creation of states. Every National Assembly that comes in will get themselves busy with the creation of states and start dragging traditional rulers who sits down and begin to fantasize like Alice in Wonderland. Oh, when we have this state, the whole street will be laced with rock. When we have this state, this Kano man will not be treating us like this. When we met, by the time we get the state, you discover, look at the problem here. When most states are created because the minority are hitting on the majority are taking advantage of the minority. But as you continue to create, there will always be minority. As you continue to create, there will always be minority. There is no end in sight. And Nigerians don't I'm sorry to say it here, Nigerians are not people who kowtow into a line. They say, let's join this line and move on. You will always see people who will agitate for state creation. The problem is, I thought we were talking about restructuring. I thought we were talking about cisgender political zone. Because on that, my idea of self-determination of a people is that people that has cultural heterogeneity, who has things that they do, you know, when you come down to the old eastern region, you find women that draw up three-piece wrapper. These are people who are together. Their languages are such that you can understand. If we would have gone back to the regional system, where the entire Southeast, as it is now, would be on their own and pursue their dream. They will have even their flag, have their national anthem. They can teach in Igbo language and solve mathematics in Igbo language. That is the only way we grow. You don't grow by breaking Nigeria into cleavages. And then let me also be honest with you. People will attack me, but nobody's going to create any states.
At the end of
that
the day,
money is going down the drain. People are just retiring the money and keeping themselves busy. Do you know where you get so pained? As a lawyer, I'm a university lecturer and I teach different courses. The law we use, the law that is applicable to things like family law, contract law, and several other laws. If you go to the sources of law, they will tell you that all these laws we have here are laws that were imported from the UK. Laws that are applicable in UK in 1900. 1900, we call it Statute of General Application. They brought it after the decision of Lagos. They took over Lagos and started dishing out those laws. No member of National Assembly has sat down to say, let us look at some of these laws. Like equity and trust. Is it applicable in Nigeria? What is it all about? Take all this, endorse them, go and endorse them and see how it works. But the primary source of our law in Nigeria is Statute of General Application of 1900. Do you know where your great-grandfather was buried? Somebody from your family, can you trace the graves of that grave of 1900? They are not ready to do anything. I'm sorry, but many of them who know me knows that this is why. They are just dangling carrots, and then the, traditional rulers will wear their latest attire, Ishago, and go there and talk. But if they are actually serious, what they would have done is to dust the 2014 National Political Conference reports, where the Southeast was copiously mentioned that they should be able to bring up the Southeast at par with other states. It doesn't matter whether you have petroleum or not. Igbos export human resources. Igbos, if you give us what we call regional government now, my brother, and we cooperate, just give us 6 years. What you see in Igbo land, you will not believe it. Everybody in Igbo land is pushing. There was a time I do a very controversial matter that borders on Igbos. Sometimes I will come out from courts. That's what you'll be hearing. Somebody will call me from Korea. There was a particular day I came out of court. We had a very good outing. I received call from my phone had to go down, and they say, name what you want and all that. We had already. If you talk about natural resources as one of the criteria, what does Israel have? Israel does not have. They don't even have a fertile land. They farm oranges on top of a tree where they will go outside Israel, buy sand, put on top of their zinc, fertile the land, and then plant what we call oranges. But currently they export all those things. It's about political will. Why not dish out good governance and remove all those clauses that make us feel alien, and then so that we move on? We are talking about creating 67 states. The agitation is the agitation of the elites. I've just told you.
So let's look at the motive behind the creation of the state. Do you think that is of a genuine concern for the development, or this is just
selfishness?
Okay.
Because some persons will feel, oh, when they create another state, I'll be qualified to come closer to power. It's political selfishness. Have you ever heard your mom talking about creation of any state?
I'm sure she's not aware of this
development. It's a creation of the elites.
But then again, does it make it wrong if a particular region desires creation of a new state? Even if the elites are the ones, being at the forefront of it, it doesn't make it wrong even if the mothers and great grandmothers that are ignorant to actually look at it from that angle, does it make it wrong to have it?
No, why we talk about our mothers at home is that what you're doing should be a reflection of their needs.
Okay.
It should be selfless. It should be something that you actually know that this is what they need. It is not for you to go there. See what they are doing there? 67. That's something on top of 36. What they do there is
31 more states.
Yes. When you come back home, some persons will argue, your mates are there asking for state and you're not doing it. Then the person will just go and put his own document. It is not based on any overall interest of the people. I am telling you, and I know. I know. I'm not looking at anybody. I'm telling you that as I am going down by age, I am getting disillusioned that people who should be able to know how to fix this country are there. There is no gentleman there. They are just doing this. By the time they give you the deal for this movement they are making, you will see that Nigeria didn't have any need. You didn't have any need not to have health insurance. How many are we? We're just about 200 or let's say 300 million. How many? 300 million. We generate more than how many trillion a day, even from JAMB alone or NECO. So are you not entitled to something that is close to, they said, if they tell you bring something, a little money and so that you have health insurance. Have you noticed recently? Because they are taking our minds to lofty things that will never work. Have you noticed recently that nobody goes to hospital in Enugu and come back alive? No, have you noticed it?
Nobody.
Once you get so sick at home and they take you to the hospital, you will not come back alive.
Is that not exaggerating?
Yes, it is, because there is no data to prove it. But I'm telling you that all the hospitals we have in Nigeria, they are moribund, mortuaries. Is it not what we're supposed to talk about? All the men with coterie of AIDS will fly from Abuja to Enugu, lodge in a hotel, and then get other things that they use as rishi to that trip. You look at one person will come with about 5 persons. Calculate all of them. It's happening in Northwest, Northeast, happening everywhere. But we don't have drugs. I lost a friend late last week. He had a brain issue. They took him to Memphis. In Memphis, they treated the brain issue and referred him to UNTH. At UNTH, when another of my friends visited him, because I was in Abuja, what they told him is that the doctor that will do thorough check on him will come by August. That he'll be coming in August. And the guy died on Friday. See, it's not because you're healthy or maybe because you're feeding. Nigeria is finished. I'm being very honest. It is not also because you want to do a program so that you will be online. Nigeria is finished. Everybody that's listening to me, who is as educated as I am, knows that Nigeria is finished.
Okay, now let's look at ethnic and regional tension, from the creation of this new state. Should any region feel marginalized, do you think this will create some sort of ethnic or regional tension? Or some people, or rather people will be happy that some sort of growth, development is coming around our area. Which do you think will be of the higher side?
If you are currently following this creation of state, you discover that there is a proposal for Anioma State in Delta. And it was that proposal that brought the issue of Ika people. They are not Benin. Benin people are not Ika. Igbo people are not this. It has already started. Some persons are now saying that they are no longer from Benin, that they are Igbos, and the tension is already there. And what is this criteria for creation of states? Is it based on the person that speaks your tribe, or the way, like how we are now? I am an Osuka guy. Is it just because we speak in Soga that makes us qualify? I am actually saying that in order to give the Southeast a sense of belonging, not to keep rubbing it in the face of the Southeasterners that they lost the war, balance the creation of states and stop there. Let us go back to drawing board and give out good governance. All these other things they are doing are just feel that what they are doing is just to counteract that aspect. Because at the end of the day, what they will say is that, man, this thing is too unwieldy. And let me tell you, have you looked at section 8 sub 1 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended in 2023? The journey to the creation of any state is like you taking your leg to travel from here to Cotonou. It's very, very unwieldy. And we are running rigid constitution. Rigid in the sense that everything you have to do two-third majority. If they do elimination method and remove some of these states that made up it and said, okay, let us create these 2 states for the Southeast. Are you aware that members of House of Assembly of even the northern states are also supposed to give us two-third majority? And the ethnic blood, the blood is such that they will not. So the process of creating state is even another problem. And I would have expected that we should dust the 2014 National Political Reform Conference. Maybe if I have time, in your next episode, we'll bring that document here and dissect it. These are things we need to let people know. Because why they do what they do is that they feel you don't know, they could wink you. Why not go back and dust that paper? If you will not go to any states, dust the paper and then debate it. All we needed to do, the problem we had was that Goodluck couldn't sign it for one reason or the other, maybe out of anger or whatever. He didn't sign it. But it was a true representation of the wishes of the masses. This current president was telling us about restructuring from the time he was in the street in Lagos with Nedeko, before he even transmutated, because he was a kingpin in activism in Lagos, along with Ake Renade, Taisho Larin, Wole Soyinka, Chukwemeke Zife. So many of them were in the streets. What they were talking about after the Abiola case, what Nedeko done was to lobby Afenifere and Ohaneze Ndigbo to continue to talk about restructuring. And restructuring is about going back to our old ways. And then we do. What you do is that if what you have in your area is palm oil, get it. The government will take some certain percentage. You use it and develop your state. And now the government wants to create more state. Meanwhile, what is within the exclusive legislative list of the federal government, they have not been able to do justice to it. Imagine ASU. Between 1999 and today, ASU has gone on strike 23 times. Federal government has not been able to solve that problem. But he wants to create more states. He wants to create more states. And there is also a problem. Will the federal government create, or the National Assembly, and along with the federal government, will they create local governments? Has our local government worked? Do you know how much money is coming to the local government? I thought that what they would have been doing is to oversight local governments, to see where the money is going and then how it's being spent. The sweetest way to join government is to go and serve at the local government as staff. Because I don't know where you come from, but if you're in Enugu, look around and tell me what has happened in the last 2 years. Nothing. Why are we talking about creation of state? When what we have is unwieldy, we cannot carry what we already have.
It's heavy. Okay, so peradventure, the states, 31 states are created, and we are left with, we now have 67 states in Nigeria. What is going to be the fate of Nigeria? What would Nigeria look like after the creation of these states?
Why do you want me to play the ostrich with you? It's not going to work. Why would I be talking about something that will not come into existence when there are so many research and theory that we're supposed to do that will produce results? It's not going to work. In the next, okay, let me just put it that these same guys that are there returns in 2027. After their tenure, second term, you will not hear about it again. Okay. It's not the first time, it's not the second time.
Okay. So before we round off, our former president had died on Sunday in London in a hospital and was buried yesterday. And yesterday was a public holiday to honor the death and everything, just to, commiserate with the family. What do you think about the death of former President Muhammad Buhari, and what do you think other politicians can learn from his failures and achievements as well?
Yes, President Muhammad Buhari has joined the road of all mortals. And because we don't create, and a human being is a creation of God, we need to respect the dead as well. Especially when we know that we'll still find ourselves in that after very soon. If not now,
Later.
soon, yes. And may his soul rest in peace. Yeah, there's no gainsaying the fact that he is one of the luckiest Nigerians. He was one of it. He was a federal minister. He worked as works commissioner. He was a GOC in Enugu. He has been from one office to the other until this last 2 years. Yeah, but what I want us to learn from this is that the social media has changed the narrative. The idea from our parents that we don't talk ill about the dead is gone. So anything you're doing, just know that you'll be at the grave and people will say what you did or what you didn't do. It's all gone. That somebody will be suffering. You know, it happens in our traditional place. You see a witch die and then people will come and be stalling him, closing eye to the fact that she was or he was a witch. In what happened in Katsina on Monday is an eye-opener. Anywhere you are, try to do your best, because you will be judged before they put you on the ground. Youths were shouting, jubilating that Buhari had died. Because the youths you see shouting and jubilating are already dead corpses. They just feel that this life we are in, what is it? When you have opportunity to put food on the table, put it. That is what I'm trying to tell you. And because of that, I also have extolled the virtues, and then I have asked God to repose his soul. That he was a disaster to Nigeria.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Barrister Vincent. We'll not go into that detail.
It was a disaster, big disaster.
Thank you so much for your contribution on this particular subject matter.
Thank you.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.